never quite sure what house it is, though. They all look the same.
That is so weird.
Well, what's so weird about that? It's just like any other residential suburb, except for they built this one specifically for old people.
It's the exact same neighborhood.
Well, all these neighborhoods look pretty similar. All the houses look the same, at least. I wonder if all the old fogies get drunk off of schnapps at the country club bar across the street and wander into each other's houses.
You're never gonna believe this. My uncle lives right around the corner.
You're kidding.
Nope, just down this street, 4 houses down. You can almost see it from here.
Huh. Small world, right?
Maybe after we have dinner with your grandmother, we can go visit Uncle Harold.
We're not gonna have time for that tonight. I promise you.
And why is it that we have time for your family and not mine?
Because the moment that we walk through those doors, we are going to be subjected to a relentless interrogation, and my father is not going to be satisfied or let us leave until he gets the entire story. Trust me, you're not going to be up for any more family visits after this one. We'll have plenty of time for your family after this is all over with.
You act like it's one time a day in there.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? Shine bright lights into our faces? Do the old Chinese water torture? Make us listen to loud heavy metal music?
They have ways of making us talk.
Why don't you just tell your family that we're living together already? Why drag it out? They're bound to find out eventually.
It's the same reason you haven't told your family yet. We've only been together for like 6 months. They barely know me, and we both know it's going to be a thing. A thing. Hey, I'm here to tell you that it won't go down the same way with my family as with yours. There will be no brief period of consideration, only perpetual interference. You'll see. I have managed to keep my father in the dark about us for over 6 months, and that is no small miracle. I mean, well, ever since my mother died, he has made it his mission to discover every single little detail about every person that he comes across. At first, I thought it was some bizarre form of overcompensation, but I think it's his way of putting people at arm's length so that he doesn't get hurt again.
Very astute observation, Dr. Freud.
At first, it seems very flattering, like he wants to get to know you, but then next thing you know, he's running a credit check.
That's ridiculous. You're exaggerating.
I guarantee you, as soon as I gave him your name, he was checking your criminal history online.
That's silly. You don't know that.
When I got picked up for underage drinking back at college, I didn't tell him, and the police didn't call him, but he found out the very next day. It's the whole reason I went to an out-of-state college, because just so he wouldn't be looking over my shoulder the entire time. You have to be monitoring somebody pretty closely to find out that quickly that someone got arrested 2 states away. I think he bugged my phone.
Good story. Consider me forewarned. Are you going to ring the doorbell? My hands are full.
Just don't sign anything.
I sure will.
Or give him access to your social security number.
Oh, is it just the 2 of you?
And were we expecting someone else? Dad's here already, right? I thought I saw his car.
But you never know who else might show up.
Oh, Grandma, I'd like you to meet Venice. Venice, this is my grandmaster.
And who might you be?
Well, I'm your grandson, Max.
Of course. Little Maxie. You've grown so much I hardly recognize you.
Max, you never told me your grandmother has...
She didn't last time I saw her.
Come in and sit down. You must be exhausted. It's such a long ways from, where was it again?
Denver.
Yes, Denver. Hard to keep track of everybody's whereabouts nowadays. Where was it before that?
Here. I lived here. And then moved to Denver for school and lived there ever since.
I thought you moved out to, where was it again? Out to California.
No, Sacramento. And that was Uncle Charlie and his brother Mark, who went to go live out there with him after he lost his job. Aunt Sophia's boys?
Oh, of course, of course. Grandma doesn't get to see her grandbabies much anymore. They've all moved so far away.
Well, we have to move where the opportunities are these days. You can't just wait for them to come to us.
Oh, where are my manners? I've got some nice milk and cookies out in the kitchen for you and,
Venice,
Yeah, well, your father's around here somewhere, lurking about as usual. Always lurking, that one.
I don't think she likes me.
I don't have the slightest idea what she thinks. No, probably she doesn't even know what she thinks of you. And apparently she's completely lost her marbles while I've been away. My guess is she'll forget who you are in 5 seconds. Who said you never have a second chance at a first impression?
No, this is not some random person at the mall. This is your grandmother.
You know, it is my grandmother. Oh my. Well, look, do you think I really give a rat's ass when some loony old biddy thinks about our relationship? Even if it is my grandmother? You can't blame her for what she's learned over the years. She's the product of a bygone era that never learned that it's not okay to be learned that it's not okay to be prejudiced. We're the cure for that. She'll come around. And if she doesn't, well, too bad for her. Because she'll miss out on getting to know the strong, vivacious woman I fell in love with.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Better leave room for Jesus.
I swear to God, why do you always have to sneak up on me?
This must be the lovely Fenice. How come I'm just hearing about you now? How long have you guys been together? 2, 3 months?
Something like that.
Fenice, and what a beautiful name, it just rolls off the tongue. How do you pronounce your last name again?
La Maison.
La Maison. And how do you spell that?
H-O.
I better have her write it down. I'm more of a visual person.
Dad! I'll text it to you.
It's so finally nice to meet you. Max has told me so much about you.
Really? Well, Max has told me next to nothing about you.
You're one to talk about keeping secrets.
So, well, now that we're all here, I think it's we sit down and find out how you two met.
Well, we met at a party, and a friend of mine introduced us, and we got to talking, and we realized we were both from Cedar Rapids.
No kidding. Born and raised?
No, her family's originally from New Orleans, but her grandma, mom, and her 2 aunts moved up here to live with their uncle after Hurricane Katrina.
Oh, yeah. Terrible tragedy. A guy I worked with lost his vacation home and his boat.
Everything. Unfortunately, if it wasn't for Uncle Harold, we weren't able to get back on our feet.
Families who are there for each other. That's so important these days. You guys must be very close.
Yes, we managed to stay in touch. We can talk about almost anything.
That must be very nice.
So, it turns out that we grew up in the same city, but never met because we went to different high schools.
He went to Kennedy, I went to Jefferson High.
Oh, I've heard of Jefferson. That's a bad school.
Grandma!
No, she's right. It was kind of rough, but I managed to stay focused on learning and track and the arts. I graduated at the top of my class and got a scholarship to the University of Colorado in Boulder. There I got degrees in urban planning and architectural design.
Well, good for you.
After that, I moved to Denver, and that's how I met Max.
My law firm has been working with her company on an urban renewal project. And she managed to charm some of my coworkers into helping develop some of the fundraising projects. We had a corporate event, my colleagues introduced us, and we hit it off immediately.
They didn't realize we were both from Cedar Rapids.
Well, how about that? It's a small world, I always say.
We were just saying the same thing when we walked up. You know, Fenice's uncle lives not but 2 blocks from here.
Actually, he's my great uncle. My grandma's brother. We just call him Uncle though. When he retired, he moved right around the corner from here. He's the one with the Iowa Hawkeyes mailbox.
Unbelievable. What a coincidence. I wouldn't be surprised if Grandma Esther and Uncle Harold knew each other. Hey, Mom, have you heard of Uncle Harold from down the street?
Oh, I know Harold all right. He's a peeper, that one.
Grandma, that's a horrible thing to say.
Well, it's the truth. Every time we have another one of those darn blackouts, that peeping Tom comes looking into one of my windows. He's a peeper, all right.
What blackouts, Grandma? What are you saying?
Let's just change the subject.
No, I want to hear this.
Well, every time the lights go off, nigh on to 3 times a week anymore, I don't even know why I even bother to pay the electric bill. Seems like it always happens in the middle of my favorite program. Well, can't see a thing, so I just sit here waiting for the lights to come back on. And sure enough, as soon as my eyes get accustomed to the dark, there's old Harold peeping in at me. Well, at first I thought he was just me, but then I found out from Vera and Sally that he's done the same doggone thing to them, so I'm guessing he's just an old pervert.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just that he's the sweetest man once you get to know him, but you said he and I lived with him. And he helped, and she called him.
Oh dear! It's not your uncle! It's just that crazy old coon Harold from down
Mom, I always love these cookies when you eat them. Max, have you tried these cookies? Have you tried the cookies?
They're the ones I always make, Grandma's secret recipe. I've been making them for years.
Well, I'll just save these for later. I don't want to ruin dinner. How about you and I go to the kitchen, finish making dinner, and let these two kids settle and relax?
Oh, no. Let me hang out with Grandma Esther. You're a funny lady.
I guess it's okay. You can cook, can't you?
You better believe it.
Well, they seem to be getting along just fine.
Are you kidding, Dad? She just accused her primary father figure of being a molester and night stalker. Apologetically, are you even listening?
Oh, you know, don't get misconstrued. You're a lawyer.
And that makes it better. Mom sees a black man out for a stroll at night. Maybe he gives her a friendly smile or wave. And then she assumes that he's a leering sex offender chasing after her shriveled old bits? Not only that, but she goes gossiping about it all over the neighborhood. That's it. I give up. My grandmother's a racist.
Oh, she's not a racist. She's just old. You tend to see things differently when you get older.
And you, how could you not tell me about Grandma?
Tell you what about Grandma?
The last time I saw her, she was vibrant, lucid even, and now she's completely off her rocker.
Ah, she's fine.
She is so not fine. Have you taken her to see someone, a doctor?
I take her to all her appointments, and not once has anyone said anything about her mental state.
Did you even bother to ask? You have to tell them about these things. They can't diagnose her with Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever she clearly has from a 5-minute office visit about something completely unrelated. She needs to see a specialist, someone who can tell her exactly what is going on. She needs the proper medication. There are scientific breakthroughs in research all the time, and with early detection.
Your grandmother is just fine.
Dad, don't you see that we need to
There's
take
nothing wrong with my mother.
Dad, you have to listen to me. She doesn't know what's going on around her. When she first saw me, she didn't know who I was.
Oh, she knows full well who you are. She talks about you all the time. She's proud of you.
Well, she didn't seem to recognize me.
Well, it's been over 5 years since she's seen you, Max. You've changed so much, I barely recognize you. If you come around here once in a while, we wouldn't imagine what you had looked like after all these years.
Don't make this about me. I can't just uproot my career, my life, and everything just to make sure you're taking care of Grandma the way you're supposed to.
Nobody's asking you to do that. Just come around once in a while. It takes more than an occasional phone call on a birthday or holiday to be a family. You can make the time, and you don't have to stay for too long.
Well, it seems like I'll have to now, if only to make sure that Grandma gets the care she needs.
Okay, sure she's gotten older, but she's far from debilitated. You can't expect an elderly person to stay as sharp as they were in their youth. You'd better hope you're as well with your wits by the time you reach your age.
What about these blackouts, huh, Dad? Are those even for real? You live like 2 blocks away. Have you even ever seen them?
Down a different grid.
Oh, really? What about in the paper? On the news? Maybe it's just a metaphor for something she's experiencing in her mind. Did you ever think about that, Dad? Blacking out? Imagining things that just aren't there?
If she said it happened, then it happened.
Or what about Uncle Harold peeping in the windows? And there it is. I saw it before. I know you see it too. Sane people don't say